What is going on, everyone? This is Hellbent TV bringing to you guys another performance test and analysis, this time presenting Ubisoft's latest Far Cry creation, Far Cry New Dawn. Now, in my opinion, this game looks simply stunning and beautiful, but how well does it perform? If that is the question on your mind, then you've certainly come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to test the game's performance on my current rig rocking a GTX 1080 Ti Aorus RGB, an i7-4790K processor, stock at 4 to 4.4 GHz, and also 16 gigs of CORSAIR Vengeance DDR3 RAM. The speed of the RAM is 1600 MHz. Now I know that 1600 MHz RAM speed is quite low for today's standards, and it is probably a major bottleneck for my PC. But however, that being said, I'll be testing the game's performance on 3 different resolutions using the resolution modifier option in the game's display settings menu. The resolutions are 1080p, that is 1 on the resolution scale, 1440p approximately, that is 1.4 on the resolution scale, and 4K, that is 2 on the resolution scale. First, I'll be doing a side-by-side benchmark comparison of the game's performance in the 3 different resolutions using the in-game benchmarking tool. Then I'll show you guys a bit of gameplay in the 3 resolutions. I'll be testing the game on max settings or ultra settings with all options turned to the fullest. So without further ado, let's get right into the testing. Ubisoft deserves a lot of praise for pushing the Anvil Next engine to its limits to produce such stunning visuals in the Assassin's Creed games. However, the same can be said about the Dunia engine used in the Far Cry games, which can compete neck to neck with the Anvil engine in producing equally stunning visuals. And let's not forget the fact that the Dunia engine implementation in Far Cry games, which always have been using the first-person perspective, which means the players get to see the world up close in vivid detail, unlike in the Assassin's Creed games, which are third-person and they do not zoom in on the minute details such as the surface textures to such an extent. Even up close and personal, the Far Cry games have always been nothing short of breathtaking, visually speaking, and Far Cry New Dawn, in my opinion, has set the bar even higher when it comes to visuals in FPS games of this generation. You can see MSI Afterburner is being used for monitoring the on-screen information about GPU, CPU and RAM, their clocks, usages, temperatures, etc. By now, you all know the gist.
Respecting women is no joke.
But, quick note, keep an eye on the GPU usage. Whenever the frames are a bit low, especially on the 1080p and 1440p resolutions, you will notice that the GPU usage is also low. That clearly shows a bottleneck, or in other words, the frames would have been a lot higher in those sections if tested with a better processor and some faster RAM. Now, NVIDIA GeForce Experience was a software used for recording the gameplay, which causes about 2 to 10 FPS loss depending upon the game and the complexity of the scene. So as you can see, the game's performance holds up really well at 1080p with the GPU not even fully being utilized, and yet we have more than enough frames. Though the GPU is getting bottlenecked, it's certainly not a concern when the average FPS is around 90 to 100. The 1% lows are a bit low, but that is mostly due to the RAM, which is 1600 MHz, and as I've said before, that is quite slow in 2019 when games demand a lot of faster RAM, and the CPU can't work quite as well when the RAM can't provide information at faster rate to the CPU. So the 1% lows are similar in 1440p as well, showing that the GPU has nothing to do with the low frames, and it's mostly due to my slow RAM. At 1440p, the GPU starts to get utilized a lot more. The frames do drop a bit, but it's still silky smooth, with an average frame rate of about 70 to 80 FPS, with frames never dipping below the 60s. At 4K, the GPU sees maximum utilization with more than 10 gigs of our VRAM being used, and also max GPU usage can be seen at this point. That being said, however, the frames are still very much acceptable and stay above 60 FPS during the majority of my gameplay testing. A few dips below 60 should be expected, as let's not forget this is a modern AAA game running on 4K ultra settings. That is a lot to ask for. It averaged at about 64 FPS on 4K during my gameplay, with the frames staying above 60 mark most of the time. This is definitely one of those games you can easily play at 4K 60 FPS with a similar setup, with a few tweaks in the graphical settings here and there. For more budget builds, turning down the graphics quality from ultra to high or medium may help a lot in achieving the desired FPS. Custom tweaking can also be done since we are on a PC. That being said, you are gonna want to turn down the shadow quality, volumetric fall, and anti-aliasing if your GPU is weak, and you will have to turn down environmental quality and geometry and vegetation quality if your CPU is not up to the task. So that's it guys with the performance test and analysis of Far Cry New Dawn. Hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to drop a like. Please share the video amongst your friends. Drop your queries in the comment section. You can also consider subscribing, as that would help me out a lot and also help my channel to grow and motivate me to keep on bringing new content for you guys. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, for everything fun and everything gaming, keep it right here on Hellbent TV, and goodbye.